and welcome to Small Town Big Business. We're a podcast about showing you that big business in small town America is possible and profitable.
I'm Russell Williams. I'm director of EThOs. EThOs is a small business incubator. We're co-working spaces. We do training and development here at the Citadel building on Tower Square Plaza. And I'm joined by my co-host.
I am Jennifer Olson, Director of Business Development for the City of Marion. We are coming to you live from Marion, and we have some people that we want to thank. So we've had some folks with us from the beginning as sponsors, and those are Arcadia Wealth Group, Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV, Fowler Heating and Cooling, Watermark Auto Group Foundation, and we have a couple new sponsors to welcome. So special warm welcome and thanks to Banterra Bank and Southern Illinois Now, and to our producer, Luke O'Neill at Union Street Arts.
If you're new to our podcast, we interview small business owners and founders and ask them questions about why they thrive in Southern Illinois and other places of rural America. And today we have a special guest, Matt Mavert.
Yeah, thank you.
Hey, Matt, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is pretty exciting, and looking forward to having a conversation with you guys.
Yeah, and you are owner of?
Just recently in September of last year, took over ownership of Hale's Automotive from Joe Hale. And but we've been in business for almost 30 years in Steeleville. Mevert Automotive is the name of the company up there. And then we just were, looking for opportunities to continue to grow, and known Joe for a long time. And so we essentially worked this out and took over that shop from him. So got a lot going on.
That's great. And we so appreciate any time that there's a new buyer for a legacy business. It's hard to see the ones with history go. So thank you for doing that. So personally, did you grow up in Southern Illinois, and how did you kind of get into this industry?
Well, yeah, I was born into it. I have lived in Steeleville all my life, except for an enlistment in the Air Force for a short period of time. But I did that. So I was born and raised there, and went to school in Steeleville. And my dad and my grandpa both worked on cars, fixed cars. They did it more or less as a side hustle. So they had their full-time jobs, and then they would do this stuff in the evenings. And so naturally I was around for a lot of that, and just by default I started doing the same thing. And then I worked when I was in high school. I worked at the local Chrysler dealership there in town, and because I had some background at that young age, they allowed me to do some mechanical work for them out there. And so I was doing that, and went away to the Air Force, and when that enlistment was done, came home, and I just wanted to go back to work somewhere. But my dad, just due to circumstances kind of going on in his career at the time, just kept encouraging me to start my own thing, and so that's what we did.
Yeah. So 30 years in automotive repair in Steeleville. What made you say, this is the time to expand? This is a great opportunity.
Well, I don't really know what was the one deciding factor, other than, one thing that's really kind of helped me, or I guess as things have developed and gone along, we started out, it was very, very humble. It was myself when we started early on, and we built a little section on the back of my dad's welding shop, and that's where I started. And then within the first couple of years, hired one other guy, and then it was just me and him for several years, and then kind of to fast forward to answer your question, as we started growing there, we built a new building in Steeleville about 6 years ago, and that just really helped everything. Improved the business more than I thought it would, allowed me to give a few more people opportunities, and then so that just kind of, I guess, just those events unfolding kind of set us on this path of, let's keep growing.
So you hit on something important in your story, and that's so many times I think people are afraid to get started because they don't have a big building or fancy trucks or equipment, but you started and you worked your way up. Is there other advice that you would give somebody who's just trying to get off the start?
I think the biggest advice in that situation is, just do it. I'm sure people, that is maybe getting a little bit cliche these days, but just do it. You can, so much of this stuff and all the, you look around at business, and if you get the backstory of a lot of those things, most of that stuff is that they're building the plane as they're flying it, and I just think that's probably the best encouragement that you can get if you've got that passion to do it, and it's kind of burning inside you that you want and you can't get it to go away, regardless of the circumstances, within reason. I say you just do it.
That's good.
Yeah. And do you have partners, or is this just you?
Well, it's just me, but you can see, and I like to attribute so much of this, where we started and where we're at today, just, from the people that I've been blessed with to have on my team.
Yeah.
I don't know how I could even put into words, what a difference that makes. The people that come alongside you, believe in the mission, believe in the values and principles that you do, and then they're willing to exemplify that every day, and so that's really the key to it, I think, for me. I don't know if I kind of forgot what you originally asked me.
But you're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with.
Absolutely. I mean, we're and we did. We started humbly and just built an addition on the back of my dad's welding shop, and then that was about 3 years, and then I did move over and build a larger building dedicated to what we were doing on the same property as my dad, and then we operated out of that for 10 or 12 years before we built this building. It'll be longer than that, 15 years before we built this building that we're in now, in Steeleville. And all along the way, I can just, as our team grew, it took those people, the right people, like I said, believing in that same mission with that mindset to just serve, to get to where we are now. And that was probably one of the most refreshing things about this acquisition here in Marion. Like, I've known Joe a long time, and I knew he ran a good business, and I knew that he had, a guy like that is going to have good people working for him. Mm-hmm. And I knew just what you heard of the business, that he was well respected, the business was well respected, but I still maybe underestimated just how great the people are that are there.
That is a risk, isn't it? An acquisition of another building.
Tremendous risk. And Joe and I were just talking about this the other day. That was such a variable for me. I said, Joe, I want to meet these guys. I want to talk to them, and I want them all to stay. I want the business to go on just as it is, and thankfully, they all. They all at least believed in it to a little extent, that they stayed, and now that I've had a chance to work with them for 6 months and be around them, it's just a tremendous group of people that absolutely care about doing the business and taking care of customers and just serving people. Yeah. They just kind of lined right up with how we want to do things. Yeah. And
is this a bigger shop than Steeleville, or is Steeleville about the same size?
No, this is a bigger shop.
It is. How many employees in Steeleville, and how many employees here in Marion?
So here in Marion, I believe if we include the part-time people, and so we're between 15, 17 employees, and about half of that, about 8, 8, 9 in Steeleville.
Okay.
So, and the business is about twice the size here as what it is in Steeleville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, definitely a difference with that. Of course, there's learning curves with everything. But again, going back to the people here in Marion and their willingness to just come in, walk alongside me and make this transition as easy as possible, because obviously we had to learn some things, and we're still learning, but it's just been a blessing to me, for this to have worked out the way it has.
That's great. So a little bigger shop, good stable staff. How do you grow? What's next? I know we've kind of talked a little bit about fleet growth, which, commercial businesses have any number of vehicles, anything from a van to a tractor trailer. Is that the focus now? And what else are you thinking might help you just get that steady revenue?
Yeah, well, I think to start with in answering that question is I want to be completely grateful to the customers, as well as, I've talked about the team and their willingness to kind of stay there through this transition and work with me as we worked through this. But, so many of the established customers, whether it's regular customers or the commercial customers, I've had a chance to meet quite a few of them. I haven't met them all, but they've been just so genuine and great through this process too. Very willing to say, okay, we understand change of ownership. If things stay the same, then we're cool with that, because that's what we liked about coming here when Joe had it. And so, just been really grateful for them and sticking with us and still utilizing us. And so part of it, the answer to that question would be just, we definitely want to make sure that we don't want to get ahead of ourselves and out over our skis here. We want to make sure that what we're doing right now, we're still serving the people at the level that Joe was or better. And then, then we can move forward and look for growth opportunities. But always, even with that being said, we would still entertain any new business. Obviously, if there's a growth opportunity, we want to, and if we can fill it and we can serve it and do it efficiently and do it right, we're definitely open to that. On the heavy duty side of our business, that's kind of where we're looking to grow, I guess, the most right now. I spoke to you about that, Jennifer, and so the larger trucks, we do have the safety lane over there. So that's a good service, because all these larger trucks like that have to be, in the state of Illinois, they've got to be inspected. And so we have that offering to where they can come through there. And so we're just saying that we're there to, if there's anything beyond that inspection that they need, if they want routine maintenance, fleet work, repairs, whatever it might be, we're there to help.
That's awesome.
Did you say how long Hale's Automotive has been here in Marion, Illinois? How long has the business been around?
Well, I don't want to mess up on dates here, so forgive me if it's, but I believe Joe started that in 1989.
Okay. So strong name, right? You want to keep the name of the business.
Yeah, we're going to stick with the Hale's Automotive name. Decided that early on that we would just stay with that, because it's in the area, known in the area, and we just felt like that was as you mentioned earlier, the legacy. And just keep that going.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure you have a full array of services. What are some things that you constantly are seeing? I guess those would be your specialties, since you see them so many. Like, what kind of repairs and what kind of services?
Well, obviously, the maintenance work, oil changes and brakes and tires is a lot of what we do. But we're full service. So whatever, basically anything mechanical repair. We don't do body work or paint work or that sort of thing, but anything mechanical repair, like we're set up and capable to do. We have very highly trained technicians that can get into the computer systems, we've got the tools and the resources to get in and be able to do diagnostic work, reprogramming, whatever it needs, whatever needs to happen. So as these cars, and they change every day, the technology, and they evolve, as they're having these drivability problems and things that are causing them not to operate the right way, we can pretty well handle, any situation that's thrown at us through that. So.
Yeah, I know the industry has evolved for sure, and how high tech it has become. And how does a small business owner deal with the ever changing technology and equipment demands?
Yeah, be flexible and open to new ideas. It's hard, we're by human nature, we don't like to change, right? We like to, it would be great if you could just have a set it and forget it mentality and just move on. But really, the world as a whole today isn't like that, with the technology evolving like it is, and definitely not in the automotive industry and auto repair industry. So we just got to be open to all the new technology and any technology that could help us run our business or do it more efficiently or just be more accurate with stuff. I'm thankful that my team at both places has just been open to that idea. Everybody's willing to go sit through training classes and understand that there has to be a time investment to go and get educated on this new technology to be able to apply that to our business. And really that's what keeps you kind of out on the forefront and moving forward, is that willingness and that open-mindedness. And I'm just thankful that everybody so far has been that way. That's allowed us to stay current and be flexible and evolve with this technology.
Mm-hmm. And everyone whose car has been in a shop knows that getting the right part is a challenge. So how do you deal with that? How is your flexibility? Are you going to new sources for that, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's certainly an issue, and everybody has experienced the supply chain issues over the last 3 or 4 years, and of course we weren't exempt from that in the auto industry at all, and it has forced us out to vendors that we would have probably never dealt with before. But thankfully, our primary vendors, our primary parts suppliers, we get a lot of help from Napa. They're working hard at it too to make sure that they can get some of those gaps filled. And it thankfully it seems to be getting better, and the parts are more readily available. But we have had to do things and look for parts in places and buy from vendors that we would have never done probably 4 or 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. But that's just kind of the nature of it right now, and that's what we're doing.
Are customers more understanding now, or is that always going to be the challenge?
We've become so vehicle dependent, right? And everybody does want their vehicle back as soon as possible. So for the most part, people are understanding about it. But again, I'll a shout out to my staff at both places. They work really hard if the part isn't available to just find it somewhere, and I've seen both Marion at Hale's here and in the Steeleville. I've seen them come up with parts that I didn't think they would ever find, and get a customer fixed up back on the road in a lot less time than I thought it was going to end up being. So we're finding ways to get it done, and like I said, my team is doing a great job of that. Awesome.
Well, and it's funny too. You have certainly a dependency and a need for people to get their car, to deal with work and childcare and those things. You also have people who are just passionate and in love with their cars, and it's kind of their baby. What has surprised you, or what is unexpected in working with people in the emotional side of their cars?
Yeah, well, I can't think of like one instance that's just really stands out, but there's been over the years, I think I see what you're saying as far as people become emotionally attached to their vehicle. Some people really like a particular vehicle, and which is good for us because they're likely to fix that vehicle and keep driving it for a long time. And that's kind of the business that we're in, is making vehicles last a long time. So that's good for us. And there's situations too where you may have a new mom and she's transporting a baby for the first time. That's emotional. And when things arise where the vehicle's not wanting to work, or maybe it leaves her stranded in the middle of an intersection or stranded somewhere away from home, and she's with this baby for the first time, I mean, that creates some high anxiety. And that's our mission is our mission is our customers' peace of mind. And so we try to keep that first and foremost when we're helping somebody through a situation like that. We have here in Marion, we have the tow trucks, and we can get somebody out to somebody pretty quickly and get them out of maybe a situation that they're nervous about, and get them back to the shop and get them some confidence that we're going to get them back on the road as soon as possible. And so I don't know if that answers your question.
Perfect. I mean, that's what, I wanted to get to that mission, because I do think that is a driver for you and your team. And, we're in a time where some vehicles cost more than people's first homes. And so it feels like the stakes are higher. So I think, getting people back to that place of peace of mind, I mean, that is, I think it's special about your business. I don't know that every person who does service or repair really goes into it with that mindset. So I think you answered it perfectly.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head so well there with the high stakes. We do realize the investment that people have in these vehicles nowadays. I think statistically it's the second largest investment to their home. We need to make sure we're fully aware of that, because then as you're affecting repairs too, that can have good and bad consequences as well. Sure. And so we want to preserve that for people and understand the investment that they're having a problem with, and understand that stress. So yeah, our full mission statement is, our mission is your peace of mind. At integrity, high standards, and attention to detail are the values that we use to provide it. And so just through that statement and those values, like our main core focus is, let's de-stress this situation, and let's just get you fixed up and back on the road with a quality repair with a good warranty, standing behind it so that you can drive away with confidence. That's what we're hoping for.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I heard you say earlier, Matt, that you had reached out to Jennifer because you wanted to express that you wanted to grow in a certain area. Who else in the community, either Steeleville or Marion, that you use as a resource to help your business grow?
Well, I think networking with just almost anybody is always a good resource.
Yeah. But did you learn that part? Because networking is a challenge for many people. Definitely,
and I don't think it was. I mentioned earlier that I kind of talked about our business evolvement, but personally, I had to do a lot of evolving myself. Okay. My wife would probably tell you that. But maybe one part of the story that I left out earlier, I started in the back of my dad's welding shop, and then after a few years, we built our building, my own building there on his same property, and then we did a few more years of that before I got to this point where I realized that I was pretty good at fixing cars. I could fix most people's situations, but I wasn't a very good businessman. I wasn't operating the business in a way that really was going to be able to sustain it and be healthy for a long period of time. And I started looking around, and by that time I had 2 or 3, and I'd gone through these stints where I'd had some employees and I couldn't make it work, and so I downsized and I tried again. And so I was at this crossroads where I'd had employees again, and I wasn't doing a great job of it, and I needed to make a decision. I either needed to just give up on this and just go get a job myself, or I need to figure it out. And thankfully, got introduced to a business coach at that time. That was around 2008 or 9. And I've never stopped using them. Yeah. Through that coaching program, my first coach that I worked with for, and it was an organization, it was like a 20 group, but we had a facilitator, and that's who I'm referring to as my coach. Yeah. He, I worked with him for 12 or 13 years or with that group, and changed my business and my life at that point.
And your mindset.
Absolutely. And so learning the skills to network and work with people and, treat people the best way that we can.
That's awesome.
Just all of that evolved through that. So as the business evolved through the coaching program, I evolved personally.
That's great.
So I've heard coaches, I've heard what I think are mentors, Joe, your dad, supportive, spouse partner. Anybody else on your team? I mean, obviously you repeatedly mention your employees, but anybody that you look up to or that you want to talk about?
Well, I've got some colleagues that I've met through the coaching program in those 20 groups. That 20 group setup is essentially you go to meetings with 19 other shop owners who are in the trenches doing the same thing you are, having the same issues. You can develop some pretty good bonds there with people because you're fighting the same battle every day, all day long. And there's a couple of guys, Scott Bickley, Joe Hansen, Leonard Mast, some of these guys, one's in Michigan, one's in Wisconsin, one's in Indiana, but they're in the same business that I am, and we talk daily, because, hey, how are you handling this? And it's just, you can't, it's very hard to put a value on how important that is to keeping your sanity and just making good decisions going
Spending time working on your business instead of just in your business.
And that was like the first thing that I had to understand, back when I first started with that, and I heard that term for the first time, and, you kind of get that epiphany, like, whoa, maybe I should be taking a step back and looking at that 10,000-foot view of everything.
Yeah, most people just say, well, I need to work harder.
Yeah.
And they keep on doing the wrong things over and over and over again. Yeah.
So whether it's marketing, accounting, what's your favorite parts and what's your least favorite parts?
The least favorite parts, is dealing with the difficult days. Things don't go right. Making those calls to customers if something didn't pan out. We didn't meet a customer's expectations. That's obviously the worst part, because I want everything to go right, and customer, gives you that warm smile at the end of it, but it doesn't always work out that way, and we know that. And so the way I always try to handle that is there's going to be those things that happen. Let's handle it the right way so that in the end we maybe can make this work out as best as possible. So those would be the worst. But some of my favorite things to do is just I've kind of gotten to this point, I guess, where I'm at, that I feel like I was given chances, whether it was bosses that I had or supervisors that I had a long time ago, or really once you're in business for yourself, your customers, your boss, supervisor at that point. And I've been given opportunities over the years. I mean, as our business has grown, that's really customers just giving you opportunities to do more, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've been afforded so many opportunities through that now I'm kind of to the point where I like to pass that along to team members. So my favorite part of that is just being able to give people the opportunity to grow and advance their career and make the best of it. That's probably my favorite part.
There you go. So does that explain your why? What's your purpose? Why you do what you do?
Yeah, my purpose statement, myself, I want to honor God. That's first and foremost for me. I want to inspire and serve, and then I just want to provide an exceptional product. I like I said, at this point in time, I want to make sure that everything that I do, like I said, honors God. But I hope that each day I can give inspiration and serve my team or customers in a way that helps them have a better life. Mm-hmm. So that's my purpose, my mission.
That's awesome.
Well, and I would think along the way, you're not just inspiring your team, but you're inspiring young people in your community. You're inspiring people who are, like we talked about earlier, on the fence about starting a business, just showing people what's possible. And so just want to make sure that we've covered everything that you had, like, I want to make sure I get to talk about X, Y, and Z so I can keep that cycle of positivity going and inspire others.
So how do we find you? Either in Steeleville or Marion?
We might have to cut that.
That's okay. You did great until the last minute.
How do you phone or
how do you find the business? How do you want people to
website,
contact you, find you, your business? Yeah.
Okay. So as far as that goes, I mean you can find us on the web, both places. We're MevertAuto.com in Steeleville, HalesAutomotive.com here in Marion. You can call the shop number in here in Marion, 618-993-2287. You can come by. It's over at 408 on North Court Street. However you want to look us up, you can message us. You can email us. You can do all that through the website.
Okay.
Give us a call.
And the tow truck folks know where you're at.
Yeah,
they bring you a lot of business.
Well, we've got our own tow trucks,
okay,
and so that you call the shop, we'll get you dispatched out.
Yeah.
Because that was a thing that Joe had always done, and we retained that. We kept 2 of the tow trucks, and we'll run out and get you taken care of on the spot if you're like I said, stranded alongside the road. So, and if somebody wants to contact me directly, I'm not afraid to give out my cell phone, 618-615-1249. Call me anytime.
Yeah, thank you.
So in Marion, you're on Court, you're near the fire station, you're near the giant first responder mural. For the folks that listen closer to Steeleville, is there a landmark that they would know in Steeleville that you're near?
Yeah, we're out on the west end of town. There's one main highway there that runs through town in the Steeleville. We're on the west end, out by the railroad tracks. That's probably the best way to describe the location in Steeleville.
So Matt Mavert, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having me. This is a blessing to me to be able to come in here and just share some of this stuff with you guys.
Really good interview.
Absolutely. And I think just my takeaway is don't work in a silo. Surround yourself with all the right people and keep investing in yourself.
Yeah. I say it a lot, and I got to tell myself this a lot. Like I don't think we should ever be in this mindset that we've arrived, right? Like every day we can evolve and learn. And so if we keep that mindset, I think we're going to be all right.
Yeah. Hey, we want to thank everyone for being part of our small town, big business community. Thank you for listening and watching our episodes. We want to thank our sponsors for making this possible. And that's thanks to Arcadia Wealth Group. That's Black Diamond Harley Davidson and RV. Also Fowler Heating and Cooling, the Swinford Media Group, the Watermark Auto Group Foundation, and 2 new sponsors, SI Now and also Banterra Bank. And of course, thanks again to Luke O'Neill at Union Street Arts. If you have any needs on videography, recording, he's the man to go to. It's a great business here in Marion. If you want to know more about EThOs, you simply go to our website, ethosmarion.org. We're a small business incubator, co-working spaces, training and development, or you can reach out to me, Russell, at watermarkethos.org.
Excellent. And I'm Jennifer Olson, Director of Business Development at the City of Marion. And I want to make sure that you don't miss any episodes. So if you haven't already subscribed on your favorite podcast app, whether that's Spotify, Podbean, Apple, please do so. We also have a video version on YouTube if you're interested. And if you know somebody who is a budding entrepreneur or just needs a little boost of encouragement and inspiration, please share your favorite episode with them and teach them how to subscribe so they don't miss an episode. If you're looking to connect with me, I'm at the new City Hall here at Marion. You can give us a call. You can walk in. All my contact information is also out on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for listening.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
surrendering command.